deep breath. I am ready to be free. And I am claiming that for each and every one of us that sits in this room, that calls this center home, that watches us online, that is connected in any way. It is time for freedom. Time to let go of any and all shackles, shine bright, and be who we have come here to be. Are you with me?
Yes.
Take a deep. Are you with me? Yes. Take a deep breath. We're going to do our treatment for freedom together aloud. I speak my word for myself, my center, and all its members and friends. I know love as the only reality. I am created out of love. Love is what I am. I know this love as absolute freedom in every area of my life, the life of my center, and all who call it home. I know our center's mortgages are paid in full, and I claim for all of us financial freedom with all debts paid and cleared. I release any sense of struggle or wrongdoing. I live in an abundant universe where there is more than enough for all. We experience freedom in every moment by always having more than enough money, vibrant health, and loving relationships. We are who we have come here to be. With hearts open wide, we see the world through the eyes of love. We are blessed, we are rich, and we are free, and so it is. And we use our points of power. I always pay attention. I always tell the truth and tell it quickly. I always ask for what I want when I want it. I always take total responsibility for my experience. I always keep my agreements, and so it is. Back to Sweetie Pie.
Okay. Thank you, Barbara. So you all want to be free, huh? Well, here's the big test. To be absolutely free, you have to be completely detached from any outcome at all. You have to be okay no matter what happens. Huh. I know. If you're paying attention, maybe that's not so simple. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at some of the teachings of the third Zen master. What's his name? Patriarch. That's right, the third Zen patriarch, who has some pretty stout things to say about this idea of detachment. Everybody heard this concept of detachment? Here it comes down to one statement. I got to turn this thing on for it to work. I'm there. There we go. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. And to explain, the great way means the path of enlightenment. Who here would like to see, or imagine themselves as pursuing the path of enlightenment? Of course, we all, feel that desire to be enlightened, to really understand. That's the great way. And to do that, you have to have no preferences. Who in this room has no preferences? Anyone raises their hand, I'm going to challenge you, because that's not reasonable. We live in the Western world. We have preferences. We go to the closet in the morning. We pick something we like. We just do. And that's the easy moment-by-moment thing. We see what we're going to put in our mouth. We're going to find that coffee because we prefer a day with coffee or something. A day is filled with preferences. And those are the easy ones. What about the ones where we have an unmet expectation? Where somebody does something or some condition happens, even though that's not what we were planning on. How do we deal with that? Do we go, no worries, no problem, nothing to it? I don't. For example, last night, I went to a fantastic party. It was the party of our kitchen circle. It was wonderful. The food, you're worried over there, aren't you? Steve and Dory put out a great spread. Other members of the circle brought great food. We just had a fantastic time. It was so good to be in their beautiful new home and to be with these wonderful people from our center that put their time in the kitchen. It was just great. That was great. Barb and I went home. We got out of the car, we went into the garage, and we have just recently put our gardenia plants. You know, Barbara wears gardenias in her hair. We grow those over there. I take good care of these gardenia plants so they'll provide gardenias for Barbara during the spring and summer. And they're back in the garage because it's been freezing at night and we can't have them outside. They're tropical plants. So they're in the basement. They were in the basement with a dog. And not that she would normally mess with the gardenia plants, but she had a bone. What does a dog do with a bone? They dig a hole. And the only available place to dig was in the gardenias. So what do? I get angry at the dog. How dare you mess with my gardenia plants? Even though I knew that you were locked in the basement. And you're a dog, so you had a bone. Who's not functioning at the highest levels here? Because this is a dog. And she's going to be true to her nature as a dog. She's going to bury that bone. That's what they do. So it's my job to not find fault in her. And when I thought about it, I just stepped away from it. Barbara's like keeping her distance from me. That dog messing up, blah, blah, blah. Ruined my beautiful night over at Steve and Dory's house. You know, like the dog ruined my night. Come on. There's just no logic to that when you step away from it. You know, you clean up the dirt on the floor, and Barbara came over with the water and Coke can, and she watered the gardenias. It was over. And I'm still... And then I realized there was nothing here to be angry about. There was nothing to be upset about. Nobody died. The gardenia plant isn't destroyed. We cleaned up the mess, and it was over. So I don't think it's reasonable, since in Ming, for us to have no preferences. You know, maybe we won't get enlightened in this lifetime. But I just have not created in my life a way to understand a path that has absolutely no preferences. What I'm going to work on, though, is improving my time between not having an unexpected expectation and recovering to an idea that I'm on a spiritual path. The shorter I can make that, instead of here, I think I'm doing better. So what I want to pursue is some of the teachings of this man who lived a long time ago, over 2,000 years. Pursue the idea that maybe he's got something for us to think about and something for us to work on. And as I say with a lot of things in the science of mind, what we're providing is a direction, not a destination. We're trying to get clearer here. We're trying to get more centered. So what can this ancient being teach us about the Great Way? Here's some thoughts. When our thoughts are bound by judgment, truth is hidden. Everything is murky and unclear. The burdensome practice of judging brings annoyance and weariness. What benefit can be derived from distinctions and separations? He's right. He's right. We never get a better life when we pick a path that has expectations that are not going to be met. Yet we're designed to have preferences in our culture. Many of us recently went to the polls to vote in the national election. Many people were not pleased with the outcome. Their expectation had not been met. Barbara really asked me not to talk about this, but I can't help it. What do you do with that? Well, you come to a place of knowing that this is the reality before us. It's not what we expected. It's not what we wanted. It's not what we preferred, but it's what we got. So are we going to find that God's not in the midst of that? Of course not. Then we're stuck. We're stuck in misery. And what words does he use? Murky, unclear, annoyance, weariness. I don't want to live in that. I want to live in the light of Spirit. And if there is no place where God is not, then God's got to be everywhere, even in that election, even in everything that happened that day. And everything that's going to happen for the next 4 years. God's got to be in it. Some reason, this is where we're going. And to give our power away to anything like that, holds us back from the place we want to be. We want to achieve enlightenment. And enlightenment seems to be through the idea of not having these things that hold us back, these ideas, these thought patterns, that life is not right. Because life is right. Life is working. It always has, it always will. Charlie was brilliant in his. He was not happy with the outcome of the election, yet he went to his dog. And it must be a dog thing this morning. And his dog still wanted to go on a walk in the morning. Still wanted to go out and play and run and be a dog. And Charlie's going, maybe life's not so bad. It's still looking good here, at least from a dog's perspective. So maybe at a human perspective, we can get to the same place. Maybe we really can be on this path toward enlightenment, even though we still have some expectations that things are going to be a certain way. And maybe we can rise above that idea that something's wrong. Because God knows I know how to do that. I know how to think that life is wrong, that something's wrong in life. And it's never helped me. It has never been a step forward in my life. If anything, it's been a step backward. So, am I going to live without expectations? Probably not. But there are some things I've learned along the way that I think might help. A word that we use a lot in this place is unconditional love. 2 words, actually. Unconditional love. Unconditional love is like this thing we're talking about. Unconditional love really means unconditional. It means you don't care what that other person does, you love them. No matter what they say, what they do, how messed up they get on a certain day, or how much what they did really could be taken as a direct shot in our hearts, we still love them. Right? That's unconditional love. Are we able to do that? I think some of us believe that we can love unconditionally. And whether we are living in some kind of delusion with that or it's real, the idea is there that one could do this. One could love no matter what. Well, can one live no matter what? Can one stay in a state of bliss no matter what? I think we're working toward that. Have we gotten there? Apparently not from the raising of the hands earlier, but that's to be expected. Why should we? We are on a path of awakening. No one here is claiming to be awake completely to the full expression of life on planet Earth. We're finding our way. So we don't play at this level. To live in the great way is neither easy nor difficult. Boy, that worked. Because I thought it was going to be difficult. But I'm being told here that it is not easy, nor is it difficult. It is due to our accepting and rejecting that we do not see the true nature of things. If you wish to know truth, then hold no opinions for or against anything. As long as we remain in one extreme or the other, we will never know oneness. Now, we all seek to know oneness. We wouldn't be in a place like this if we didn't seek to know oneness. We want to know oneness. So what I'm asking of you today is not to be that one that can live without any preferences, without any expectations, but to be willing to consider letting go of the expectations, especially when they don't work out. I like having expectations because I believe expecting of myself something more drives me to do more. I think having expectations of you is a value in your lives because I expect you to be the brilliant, wonderful, absolutely fantastic ones that you are. When someone asks me to speak for, or to treat for their health, Barbara and I do treatment for every member of this center over a period of time. We have lists of, maybe 15 people a week, and we work on those people. And when I ask them what they want, they tell me, often it's either they're working on prosperity or they're working on health. Those are the 2 main ones. There are others, but those are the 2 main things that I find people are looking for. To be more prosperous or to have a more vibrant health. When somebody asks me for help, every time I see them, I go, oh, you're the most amazingly healthy person I know. And I want to have that expectation of them. But if it doesn't work out that way, for whatever reason, I've got to be okay with that. And if someone says, I want to be prosperous, whatever that means to them, whether it means not having any debt, the freedom that we speak of every Sunday, or some other level of prosperity, some other expression of prosperity in their lives, I see that for them. I do. But if it doesn't work out and they don't get out of debt, or they don't get the level of financial completion that they are intending, I find no fault in that. That's not for me to judge. So having the expectation's great, but let's not get stuck on it. In our relationships with other people, which, and this is the season where we're going to see a lot of those people that we grew up with that still hold us as an honorary 12-year-old. Those people are doing the best they can to love us the way they know how. They don't come here. How could they possibly know what you know? How could they possibly be called to lift up the people around them like you do? They can't. They're not wrong. They're not bad. They just don't know. And that's okay. Your job, though, if you want to be on this path toward enlightenment, is to not play that game with them. And to not see yourself as the honorary 12-year-old. To know who you are. To know the spiritual vitality of your experience in life. That's your work. That's my work for me. What other people are doing is really up to them. And we can't hold them to be a certain way. Having expectations of how they'll live their lives will never serve us, because that's not their nature. This idea of people being true to their nature, I've found, is a very valuable tool. How does that work? If someone acts in life a certain way, if they're belligerent, if they tend to lie, if they're not trustworthy, that's their nature. That doesn't mean they're awful people. It just means that's something in their life that they're either working on or not, but it's the way they're out picturing in life. So if you know that, why do you think they should act a different way? If you see them be in that particular way of being, why would you ever think that they would be another way? Now, sometimes people change, it's true, and anyone can change. But for you to expect that they're going to change is often unrealized. So don't even go there. Let them be who they are, and trust them to be true to the way they are. And now you're free. You don't have, and if they change and they somehow had some personality deficit that you know about, don't judge it. Just know that that's the way they are. That's their nature. And if they do it a different way, be delighted. But if they do what they've always done, and they likely will, bless them and let them be the way they are. What good would it be to judge them? How helpful could it be that they don't give us what we want? That doesn't help. It isn't who we're here to be. We're not here to change them. It doesn't work that way. They're going to be who they are. How are you being? That's your work. That's my work. How are you in the world? How do you bring yourself to life? What is it that you bring as a gift to life? That's the work. And if you're doing that work, you're doing everything you need to do, and you're on that path. Let's see what else our third Zen patriarch has to say. The great way is perfect, like vast space where nothing is lacking and nothing is in excess. That's the path to enlightenment, to see the perfection of life. Right now. Not the way you want it to be, but right now. And from that, can you shift things? Absolutely. But going to war with the way something is that you don't like will never get you where you think you want to go. What will get you there is being free enough to not be attached to an outcome, a circumstance, a situation. To letting it be the way it is, and then bringing to life who you are in the midst of that. That's where something changes. That's where something powerful occurs. And you all have that potential, every single one of you. No matter how big the crisis may seem, no matter how seemingly hurt you could be for what was said or done, you have the ability to rise above all of that. And if you'll simply allow the world to be its perfection around you, even though it wouldn't be your preference for it to be that way, then you're sitting in the center of a Zen garden, and life is working perfectly for you because you are detached from all those things that would otherwise help you. Barbara and I used to go to annual events, Native American events, where people would go up and sit on the mountain and cry for a vision. They're called vision quests. And one year, a man came up from Florida who he was a horseman. He worked on horses down in Florida, shoed them and took care of them and such. And he came up, and he was this jovial fellow. He would laugh and have a good time. And anytime someone would say anything close to a judgmental thought, he'd go, no, you can't hook me. You can't hook me. He was really clear. He didn't want to play that game. He was like a jester in doing it, though. He made it into a game of life. And I always admired that. His name was Crow Dog. Crow Dog, that was his native name. We even tried calling him Corn Dog. Can't hook me. It's just that simple. It's simple. And according to the Zen master, it's neither easy nor difficult. It simply is. So we work on this idea of not being in judgment, of not getting so attached to an outcome that it ruins our day when it doesn't happen. We let it be okay. Maybe we have that moment where I first see the dirt all over the floor. But my job is to let go of that as quickly as I can and move into the next thing. Because she's a beautiful dog, and she's a sweet dog, and she loves me even when I'm mad at her. But I don't want to be mad at her. That's a waste of my time and energy. I want my life to be open and free. And the way to do that is to simply love. And I know that's what you can do too. So Charlie, I think you said Rumi's name this morning. Let's see what Rumi has to say about all this. Beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. The truth is that there is only one thing happening. It's the divine presence that dwells in you and dwells in me. It's the same thing. We are all of that one mind. And coming together and remembering helps make our lives better so that I can lift you up and you can lift me up. And out of that comes a better world every single time we do it. So we let go of all of our expectations as best we can, and our preferences, and our judgment, and we love.